So, but I have something for you to smell.
Mm.
And then I have to do a little bit of work on it because it turns out that the oak moss is just a little bit, it just tips it slightly under the strength I wanted to have it at.
What do you mean? As in order to keep it under regulation?
Yeah, in order to keep it regulatorily safe, and I would have to have it at 7.75%.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like it a little bit stronger. But I've discovered something very interesting with this fragrance.
Strange smelling strips?
Yeah, they are, but they're filter paper. They're Whatman filter paper, and I thought it was going to be the usual size of Whatman filter paper, and it wasn't. It's a box of tiny ones, but they're very, very accurate.
Mm.
So.
What do you mean accurate?
The paper doesn't change the aroma of
Got
the. Yes, it's like drawing on white paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Do you want me to say something that is not appropriate? It's not good for smelling
Please,
perfume on.
Tell me.
Toilet paper, not used. Fresh toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Okay.
Doesn't
It changes the aroma.
Yeah.
Well, this I find, I'm happy with this. It's the most accurate thing. They come in little blocks.
Yeah, it's
like
nice.
that. Tiny. They look like.
This is really good, by the way. Sorry, I've just realised I haven't commented on the
Can't say
photo.
anything. Yeah.
Mm.
So, we've got a project, and this is sort of it. I wanted to change it a little bit because of the regulations. I want to make it a little bit stronger. So I have a little experiment to do. But I put this on after I'd made it last Thursday, under circumstances which I might explain. And then it was still there at midnight. So that was 8 hours later. It was quite happily still there. Then the next morning I thought, a little bit. And then I had a shower, and then I could smell it more. So there was something then that stuck on my.
Well, you'd washed away the smell of your pits.
I didn't put it there, but it was on my wrists, and it was still on my wrists, even though I'd used soap. But now, what do you think I might have put in it that made it last a long time? Given what I normally say and your knowledge of.
Right, okay, yeah.
I know I am making you work too hard, considering.
No.
But there are normally things that are the go-to things that everybody says you should use in
Like
order to-
Isoe Super,
like Isoe
Hedione,
Super, Hedione.
the sort of synthetic musks.
Yeah, Ambrox. That's the thing.
Galaxolide.
Yes, so I do have Romandolide in it, which is a musk, but also I'm writing about a novel, and roman is French for novel. So I've made it a Romandolide. There are reasons sometimes I put materials in. It's nothing to do with what they do or what they smell like. It's their name.
Well, this is... sorry, the thing that you put in it to make it smell...
To make it last long?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what I
right.
did. But it's not Ambrox, because there isn't any. And that's my usual go-to. And bergamot usually have made it big. There's no bergamot. But it's not big. It doesn't leap out at you. Anyway. And yeah, so no Ambrox, no Isoe Super, no Hedione. But it does have 2 musks in.
But it's got oak moss in it.
It has oak moss in it.
It smells like it's full of very heavy molecules, this. It's very... it's a deep fragrance.
And does it also smell as if it's full of very heavy naturals as well? Arthur?
Yes.
Right answer. Yeah. So
What did I say?
no,
Just
you
smell
said
heavy
molecules, and I mean some of those are also in naturals, but generally speaking, when people are talking about molecules, talking about them being by themselves.
Oh right, yeah, but yeah, yeah. So I'm getting sort of an aroma of wood. There's woods in it.
There are.
Sort of like I can smell a church.
Good. Well, shall I tell you what Joanne Harris, the million-selling author of Chocolat, said it smelled like?
Yeah, go on.
a young girl who's just been for a swim in the Mediterranean and who is now taking refuge from the hot sun in the cathedral.
Well, I got the church.
Yes, you did. But when we first put it on, I don't know if you're prepared to commit to skin, Arthur.
Yeah, go on then.
But it smells very salty.
Wow.
And as you know, there's no point putting salt in a fragrance because it has no aroma.
So what do you use, cologne?
No. Cacao.
Oh.
It's got the
It does.
savouriness.
Wow, it does smell like you've just got out of the water.
So there are two stories here. You should never try and tell two stories all in one film, but or maybe you should. They intertwine. I think maybe you should tell more than one.
Or are they two parts of the same story?
They kind of are.
There you go.
Because it's all about magic. Which is what physics is until you discover what's actually causing it. Once you discover what's causing it. So, last Thursday, sitting in that chair there, was Joanne Harris, who wrote Chocolat and lots of other books. So that's the best known one. And I've read 3 others now, including the new one which is coming out in May, which is called Vianne. And this is the prequel to Chocolat, and it's how we learn how Vianne learned how to make chocolates, how to magic things and put them in them so that she knows exactly what people want, and she gives them a chocolate which will change their mood and their attitude to life sometimes. And
almost like what you do with perfume.
I think so. And what happened was, she phoned me because she wanted somebody to make the aroma of Vianne. We chose a moment in it, so we smelled lots and lots of different things, because although she's been invited by the Fragrance Foundation to be a judge, and she writes a lot about different aromas, and she knows what spices and lots of things that are available for cooking smell like, because she's also written cookery books. But you know, if I were to say like oak moss and cypriol and vetiver and things like that, she hadn't smelt them individually. And that's usually the problem with perfumery things, is people haven't smelt them individually. So she kept saying, have you got this, have you got that? So I go fetch. And we've ended up creating this moment from the book, because a lot happens, it's a book. So we needed the smell of chocolate and rose. I say chocolate, the unsweetened cacao. There's nothing sweet in it. All the sweet things we smell, it's like we smelt them, because things like ethyl maltol, the candy floss one, even the natural vanilla, which isn't all that sweet, banished, because it had to be the unsweetened cacao. And then creating the smell of an alleyway with the rain falling on it. So I used the attar miti. So the actual, this is going to, I don't mind how much it costs me to make. Let's put it that way, because we've got the attar miti, which is made from clay pots and sandalwood in India, old school. We're actually using rose essential oil because that's important too. I should put them in my little clip. So one of those. So I'm going to use the Bulgarian. Well, I think I might use the Indian one as well. Aurelian, because at this point she was asleep in an alleyway, having been rescued by a man who was temporarily sleeping on the street. I mean, not just homeless, but actually street sleeper, which is different. You know, some people are homeless but still have a roof over their heads. So Aureliona's the one which smells like the backs of old wardrobes and everyone's clothes they haven't worn for a long time. It smells a bit like the waft of jumble sales.
Yeah, but it's nicer than that.
It is, but also when you mix it in with other things, what happens is it's very different. It blends in. It makes a really lovely skin that's just been swimming kind of an aroma. But then the top note part of it, I mean, rose essential oil is quite bright and high. This is not a top note part of it.
Wow.
So this is the Cacao Absolute.
God, it's so tasty.
Yeah.
It just makes you hungry, doesn't it? Salivate.
It's it's umami as you can get.
It is. It's just pure umami. It's like a Marmite miso.
Yes, it is like that. And then I'm just thinking ahead to when I correct the subtitles and how difficult those two sentences are going to be for it. It's like an umami miso. I shouldn't have said that
Marmite
again.
miso.
I'm going to have, talk about, okay, go.
Oh, no, that's cat wee.
It is, isn't it?
Oh, goodness, no.
But tomato leaf.
Okay, yeah, I can smell that now.
There's a cat in the book as well.
Wow, it's just tomato leaf now.
Yes.
But
The first
time I
impressions,
smelt it
but
was
that's
just...
what happens. If you grown tomatoes,
Yeah.
you brush them even slightly with your fingers.
Yeah, it
I've
smells
probably told you before. Did I tell you that I met Richard Branson's mother
Yes.
and she told me about growing tomatoes.
What?
Well, she said, I was working in the same building as she was. She said, do you grow tomatoes? And I said, yes. And she said, well, if you smoke, never touch the leaves if you've got nicotine on your fingers because they drop dead. So I said, okay. But I didn't smoke, but I took that piece of advice and I weirdly never forgot it. She was very nice, she was like, all these very ambitious business people's mothers seem to be perfectly nice when you meet them.
This is something I know very well.
I think that I just dipped without paying any attention to it.
Oh, it's lavender.
And it's the geranium.
Geranium.
But they are so close when you smell them like that, they overlap a lot. But, French window ledges, particularly the south of France, geraniums everywhere. There's competitive geranium growing. So this is... I'm so happy, it's one of the most unusual things I've made. And recently... I've made a few unusual things. I mean, you're getting love for Flawed Fern, by the way.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Thank you. Well, we're going to launch it.
That's great.
To come out.
Kumquat and fennel.
You're getting it's like feeding time. Give it to me.
Oh, I can't really smell this.
Well, it's we've mentioned it. It's in there. It's colourful. It is restricted.
Oak moss.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got it now. It took a while to come off the...
It does.
I don't want to say strip. It took a while to come off the square.
The tiny little bit of the rectangular Whatman paper.
So, who picked the moment from the book?
Joanne did. I asked her which bit, but fortunately I had read it all, so... yeah, but then, then what happened was, I went, all right then, and that's what I got written down. Chocolate in the Confessional, and Filthy Lucre, and then Secrets of the Confessional. We're there. The street under the awning in the rain, in summer, church, Roman Delight, random notes. Here's another one.
There you go.
And then I just decided
Ooh.
how I thought it should build. And I built it from the bottom up in one go, and that was the first one. I have the second one.
What's this thing you've just given me?
What do you think it? Do you think
Frankincense.
Well, it's the incense part of the fragrance, is it not?
It's incense.
It's 100% church. But this is Cistus SEV. So this is the particular Cistus from Payon-Bertrand Albervier. Albervier. Old Albert. Oh, now known as, what's it called? Givaudan Naturals.
It's really nice.
Yes, it's more, I find, more...
Frankincense than frankincense.
Mm-hmm. But also more smoky, more burned, more...
Yeah.
You can picture it actually being smoked at the time.
Mm.
So I've got the original here. And this is version B, which I did. And compared on... Oh, it's on there. It's smelling wrong side. What I added was a little bit of Atlas cedarwood. I was going a little bit more animalic, so I added 3 drops to the whole thing, hardly anything, of civet at 1%, so you hardly can tell. Atlas cedarwood and a tiny bit of the natural vanilla, and the whole thing just went, no, I don't really want to be interesting after all.
It's completely changed, yeah.
So I went back to the version I really liked. But, you know, as I say, my lesson from this, I mean, there'll be more about this, because this is, I'm not feeling as calm as I'm looking. I think I'm looking calm. But this is like a small child looking forward to their birthday for me. It will burst out and I'll dance around the room if I'm not careful. It's so exciting. And I'm going to have a tiny experiment just to see if I can lift it off the skin and the paper a little bit more with tiny bit extra geranium and tomato, without it making without making it smell as if the cat's taken a pee down this cobbled alley that we're walking up on the way to the cathedral. But it's just odd that without all the things we think we need to make a perfume last a long time, at less than 10% strength, it lasts a long time.
Is it because there's lots of naturals in it?
See, it shouldn't be, because that's one of the classic things that everybody knows makes things not last a long time.
Right.
It is somehow magically the combination of the 2 musks that I've used, because I think, and I've had clearwood, which is, yeah, a single molecule, but it's sort of almost natural. So those 2 musks, and a whole swathe of naturals. There's patchouli in there as well, there's cypriol in there as well. The attar mitium in sandalwood is a long-lasting material. But with all the things that we believe, this shouldn't be happening.
Right.
So the fact that it has, I find fascinating, and it would be very difficult. I would have to go back and deconstruct the whole thing and rebuild it several times to see what it was that I did.
It's the cocoa.
It could be, but I have cocoa in other things, and
They all last a long time?
and they usually do, but it's Cocoa Absolute. I don't know. I'm tempted to see, what if I remake it and then test it? What's it like if I do add Hedione? Does it come out at you a little bit more?
You said that you've got Romandolite.
Romandolite, yes, which is a nice general purpose biodegradable musk, and Aurelione, which is the one that's a little bit more kind of skin-like, a little bit more sensual.
And what country is it in? France?
It's in Marseille, so it's in the south of France.
Have you considered adding the smell of Brie.
Back to last week, put the bamboo thingy in there.
Should put a bit of cheese in it. Garlic? Is there a garlic essential
There's
oil?
a garlic essential oil. I once had some and I had to throw out furniture to get rid of it. Well, I had a big box that had lots of essential oils in, like the kind of things that aromatherapists have. And it just had to go. I mean, I had something like 1 gram of it, and the entire studio smelt. Some things still do.
Would you be... Sorry, I know I've just diverted us.
Garlic's not going in there, but yes.
But would that be edible?
Yes. Garlic essential, but you wouldn't want a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
like
what you would do
tongue.
is you'll have 1 drop of garlic essential oil probably in a ton of pasta or soup or something. It's used in the flavouring industry.
Yeah, wow.
Rather than adding, crushed fresh garlic into things, you could just use one of those. But it's not something I'm going to do. But
no.
could, but I won't. But yeah.
This is remarkable. So what's the next step?
Well, I just, for my own interest, want to do these 2 other versions. One I had it, so it worked out at 9.8% strength with the oak moss in at the level I wanted. So I wanted at 9.8% strength, but it's only safe at 7.75.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to slightly adjust it, and it's probably easily done by just adding in an extra couple of grams of the romandolide. Means that'll be a bigger proportion of it. The amount of oak moss proportionally will go down. I might swap a little bit of Veromos
Why do you want it stronger?
I want it as strong as I made the first batch.
Okay.
Because I know that does exactly what I want it to.
Right.
So, I mean, what I'll do is I'll make up some of it at 100% strength, and then I'll experiment at different strengths to make sure. But it's weird that when you just get it the first time, it's just there was a spell occurring in the room, I think. And when that happens, you can go and do lots of different versions of it, but you tend to come back to where you started, and because you might never be able to improve it.
Yeah.
Because what's happening here is what a lot of the time we would spend a great deal of time on. If I'd done the other one first with the cedar and the civet and the vanilla in as well, it's very similar, and that had come out just not very bright and not as magical. I'm probably overusing that word, but then I wouldn't necessarily have known what to do next in order to make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But because I've got that there, and that's the actual magic formula. But what happens next is that I could just go with A. We could always have it at 7.75%. It'd be fine.
And who's getting it?
Well, of course, our customers. I mean, everyone's allowed to have it. It's not going to be secret. The issue was that last time, when Joanne Harris was invited to a particular event, a big perfume company, could they make a perfume that goes with the book? Strawberry Thief it was. They made a batch, and she wasn't involved in the process. They asked her, do you like that one or that one? She said, well, that one. And they're both quite nice. And she took them on tour and sprayed them on the bookmarks, and customers, her readers, said, oh, it's lovely, can I buy it? And the answer was no, because that company doesn't manufacture cosmetics, it just manufactures the fragrance concentrate. So you could do it as a sample, but they weren't going to go through the whole cosmetics regulations thing and release it. Besides which, they'd probably have to make it worthwhile, they'd have to make 25 kilos of concentrate, so they're not set up to do that. So this time the idea is that it will be available to anybody who would like some.
Via you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And yes, and then as much of it, I'm thinking of doing a special bottle in a special box.
Yeah. And what did you've been a fan of Joanne Harris.
Yeah, I read Chocolat when it first came out.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and I've read another few books, and now I've realised there are more that I've missed out on. So.
Did you talk about her writing at all? Or her?
Well, yeah. I mean, actually, not so much. But what was amazing was that just listening to the streams of words she could put together just in normal conversation, I was just they just felt as if they were floating around the room, making beautiful shapes and then just fading as I forgot them. And I was just thinking, I just wanted to catch them and as if I could like get my book and just go and get them and then be written and I could keep them, because the way that she just uses language normally, you realise why the books are that good. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's well, I mean, we talked a lot.
Yeah.
Like Life, the Universe,
I
and
bet,
everything.
yeah, I bet.
And yeah.
Well, I mean, anyone who watches our videos will.
We know we can talk. Yeah, yeah, we can talk. Yeah, and Joanne has just, endless, but interesting views and opinions and thoughts and we talked about Yorkshire, and also being who you are, but genuinely being who you are, and how difficult it is if you try to reinvent yourself as somebody else.
Yeah.
And why it's not worth the bother. So. Yes, it was lovely.
Amazing, brilliant. Well, congratulations, because this is spectacular.
I'm so excited. This little, and I do like it.
Yeah, you've nailed the brief.
Yeah,
it's really interesting because it genuinely smells like because I didn't know before what it was meant to be, and it genuinely smells like what it's meant to be.
Good.
Shows you.
Good. Yeah, I mean,
you know
we're not
doing,
just making like a sweet chocolate bar of it has to have some of the difficulties, the obstacles in it that Vianne faced while learning how to make chocolate. If it were an easy fragrance, I think that would be to misrepresent
the books.
book. Yeah, so that's happening.
Brilliant.
And now I have to remake it and not ruin it.
Yeah. Well, we'll revisit.
Yeah, I have to remake it and make it sparkle, that's what it is, rather than not ruin it. That sounded a little bit typical. Yeah. Yeah. Just experiment and see what happens, see if I can just lift it up.
So, bit of garlic, bit of bamboo for the cheese. Fantastic.
Yeah, and some salt.